What if your rental supported your life instead of disrupting it? I'm serious. Imagine a setup that brings in income, fits your schedule, and doesn't leave your neighbors fuming. Because here's the truth: a side hustle should fit around your real life, not take it over. But most short term rental hosts, they're spending 10 to 20 hours a month managing a single property. That's a part time job hiding in plain sight. So today we're breaking down a smarter way, one that's sustainable, neighbor friendly, and built around how you actually want to live. Let's talk about the myths. You've heard the pitch: passive income, automate everything, just list it, and you'll be able to cash in. What that skips is the reality. Suddenly, you're fielding late night messages about parking, you're wrangling last minute situations with cleaners, you're praying the city or town you're operating in doesn't change its zoning laws overnight. And behind the scenes, there's a heavy cost to your time, your energy, and sometimes your neighborhood goodwill. And that's a recipe for disaster. The worst part, it's not always visible. It shows up in tension with neighbors, in weekends lost to hassling with your systems, and in that creeping feeling that maybe, just maybe, this really wasn't worth it. But here's the good news. There is another way to do it. You can put some basic systems in place that make it better. At Mindful Rental Pros, we use a simple 3-part lens to help you move from survival mode to sustainable income. So number one, contain the mess with smart systems. You don't need a fancy tech stack, just a few well-chosen tools. For example, a self-check-in protocol, automated guest messaging with a personalized follow-up, and a synchronized calendar can cut 80% of the back and forth. Make sure your welcome book is truly useful and answers most of the common questions that guests will have, so you're not retyping the same responses over and over again. And then make it available in digital form, whether guests are online or whether they're offline, since reception can be spotty while guests are in transit, and they won't have access to your Wi-Fi until they're on site. Think of it as putting your rental on rails so it moves smoothly, even when you're focused elsewhere, when your guests are coming and going. Respect the rhythm of your own life. Number two, don't let peak season dictate your personal calendar. Your phone is your best friend. All the online travel agents or OTAs have mobile apps that work for hosts as well as for travelers. So instead of holding tension about whether this or that is going to happen, just check your mobile app, respond, and then you can let go of the stress. Remember that the details are being held for you in those systems. That way you can manage your business and be present in your own life. Set it and forget it pricing is also a valid strategy that enables you to let go of daily managing. That's what I do. I do the research for what is a competitive rate for my property with my amenities in my market, and then I set it at that and revisit it occasionally, not constantly. Another way is to tap into the dynamic pricing tools that all the OTAs are offering now, if you'd rather have pricing adjust day by day to reduce vacancies. It's a perfectly valid approach to enabling technology to handle some of the churn for you. You can set guardrails on the pricing to ensure your daily price doesn't dip too low or too high. Just know that the algorithms may be different from one platform to another. So your property's price may appear different on Airbnb, for example, than it will on Vrbo or Booking.com unless you're using a channel manager, which is really kind of not practical for people like you and I who really only have 1 or 2 properties to manage. So if you're fine with that exposure, it's certainly something you can try as a different approach to setting and forgetting pricing. The point is that you don't have to be actively managing the rental once you set up your systems. Think of it more as monitoring the rental process and ensuring that your communications with guests and with your support crew are on track. You want to attend it, but you don't want to chase down every little possible update, pricing adjustment, or trend that may be driving you crazy. Be steady, consistent, and responsive. Sometimes that's 5 minutes a day. Sometimes that's 0 minutes a day. That's not a bad ROI. Your rental should support your lifestyle, not overtake it. And number 3, think beyond your own doorstep. This one is a key component of making sure that your rental doesn't negatively impact the lifestyle that you're setting it up to support. And what do I mean by that? I mean that real estate isn't portable. It's literally rooted in your host community. That's why the smartest rental strategies don't just consider the neighborhood, they understand it and they respond to it. This might mean introducing yourself to the neighbors before you list, sure. And quiet hours and parking rules are essential, of course, so that your property isn't a problem. But going beyond that to understanding what your local community's priorities are, and then making sure that you reflect or contribute to them can shift your impact from negative to positive. And that shift has a whole lot of impact on how burdensome it is to manage your rental. It's a two-way street to drive sustainable income. For example, what if your community is very concerned about environmental impact? Should you take an eco-conscious approach to your furnishings, your cleaning protocol, your decor? Should you use Energy Star compliant fixtures and appliances, and maybe even facilitate guest recycling? Would it be a good idea to contribute directly to a local environmental initiative, either by volunteering your time, providing educational materials for guests that invite them to contribute, or by making a direct contribution yourself? Or what if your host community is concerned about how many housing units have gone to short-term rentals instead of supporting midterm or long-term needs? Could it make sense to pivot to a different type of rental, say midterm rentals for visiting professors or locum tenens healthcare staff or seasonal workers? Should you consider adjusting your listing to attract guests who align with your host community's goals for, say, introducing families to the area by offering a rental for relocators or hosting business travelers on temporary assignment who can help boost the local economy by driving greater success of a local company? You can adjust your listing and the language and amenities of your offering to appeal to these different types of folks, if that's what best aligns with what your community needs and has to offer. That way, you're not bucking the local tide, but instead going with the flow, which is a far more durable way to sustain success. So what can you do right now? First, take a realistic and honest look at your lifestyle. How much time and attention are you willing to give? How much guest interaction are you interested in? Is daily management or monitoring a realistic demand on your time? Take our quiz to find out which rental type is best for you. Next, take a look at where you stand with your community awareness. Take our free Community Compass audit and find out how you align with local values, or if you even know what those are. These are important ways to develop a low-hassle side hustle with a neighborly touch. Honoring your own lifestyle and the life of your host community are essential ingredients for ensuring that what you rent has a positive impact in your life and the life of those who live around it.